to a new episode of Story of Success, in which we interview prominent Egyptian figures. We'll be back after the break with our guests, so stay with us. Our guest today is a successful Egyptian figure who excelled in the field of linguistics and translation. He's the chairman of the German department at the Faculty of Languages, Ain Shams University. He's also a translator, a terminologist, and an author. Today, I'm happy to have with me Dr. Tariq Abdelbari. Welcome with us, Doctor.
Thank you.
Well,
welcome.
First of all, I'd like to ask about your choice of studying German, especially that before the interview you told me that actually you're not a graduate of the German school.
That's true. I studied the German language and literature because I'm fond of this culture. So, you know, first thing which attracts you is the culture of people. How do they think? How do they behave? What is the history of these folks and nations? And my father, he was a diplomatic man, and we lived in different areas of the world. And though he didn't speak fluently German, but he was fond of the German culture. So as a child, I used to see a lot of books in his wide and big house library, books about the German history, German literature, German authors, translated into English. So I just took the chance as I joined the Faculty of Languages, Al-Elson, at the Ain Shams University, to choose the German culture and literature to be my main specialization, the major thing I'd like to specialize in.
Now, choosing the German language, did you need to take extra courses other than the university curriculum, or the university curriculum was sufficient for you? Because to become a translator and author in German, that needs really to be really mastering the language.
That's true, but I didn't have the need to do this, because first of all, to learn something well, you have to get this passion, and I had a passion to learn the German language, to read about the literature and the culture and so on. And secondly, at that time we were very small. I mean, from the quantity of students and so on. At that time was a little bit limited, the number of students. So we had very good teachers. Most of them were dedicated to teach us. And today they are my colleagues, of course, and my previous teachers. And that helped me a lot. And also I visited Germany several times, because from the DAAD, the German Academic Exchange Service in Cairo, used to give students scholarships, and I had the good chance to have several scholarships to Germany, and to learn in Germany the German language and culture.
Yes. How long did you stay in Germany?
In Germany, I didn't once stay for a long time, but I always visit Germany like for...
On intervals?
Yes, but very close intervals, like every year, once or twice, on conferences, or just collecting materials for my thesis or something like that. But the longest period I spent in Germany was 2 years, continuous 2 years. At that time, I was preparing for my dissertation. I actually wrote my dissertation there. And I had also by chance my first child, and the only child, Mohammed, who was born in Münster, Westfalen, during my stay there with my wife.
Would you talk to us about your dissertation, please?
Yes, it is a unique theme, because I was and still fond of cinema and the relationship between cinema, I mean film, and literature. This is a very famous topic in the literature studies. And I actually wanted to be a filmmaker, yet I wasn't able to be so, because I was appointed directly after graduation at the university as assistant. And then I had my master thesis. It was about Reiseliteratur, literature of German literature. And then after that, I thought, now it's time to make something, or to write something which is close to film and literature. And then I had a good chance to choose one of the most interesting theses I wanted to write about, namely Najib Mahfouz on the Egyptian side and Heinrich Böll on the German side. Both are Nobel Prize winners, and the topic was the screenplay as literature. Because, you know, Najib Mahfouz was, his novels were turned to films, adapted to films, and also the same thing with Heinrich Böll. So I was making a comparison between the novels of Najib Mahfouz before and after film, and also the same thing with Heinrich Böll before and after film.
I know about Najib Mahfouz, but I don't know much about Heinrich Böll. Would you tell us more about him? And are they similar in their writings, or they are extremely different?
Of course, extremely different, because each of them describes a different society. But Heinrich Böll was very well known in Germany, especially during the 70s and 80s, and since beginning also. But he was one of the most prominent, and is, of course, still one of the most prominent German writers. He wrote a lot about the social conflicts and especially the freedom of individuals in the society. And he struggled for that and had very famous confrontations also with the German state at a certain time, because he was defending the freedom of individuals in the society. And at that time, that wasn't, like I would say, exactly what the German state could tolerate, because he was adapting a very critical point of view.
So in a sense, each of them was concerned about his social issues or his society.
Yes, yes, in the first line, of course.
Yes. Now, you came back to Egypt and you did your PhD at the Alson University. Would you tell us also about your PhD as well?
Yes. After, you know, there is a system which is called the channel system. It's some sort of scholarships you get from the DAAD in cooperation with the Egyptian Authority for Scholarships for Egyptian scholars, and then you go for 2 years to Germany, and then there you prepare and write your dissertation under the supervision of a German professor. And also at the same time under the supervision of an Egyptian professor. And then after that you finish. Most of us, when we travel and stay for that time in Germany, then we stay for 2 years in Germany under the supervision of a German professor, and after that, and at the same time also under the supervision of an Egyptian professor. You return back, then you start to look for your dissertation, complete it, and then you get the PhD.
Yeah, so actually the main work was done in Germany, and then it was the dissertation itself was in Egypt, but the main thesis itself, it was all in Germany.
Yes, yes, you write the topic and everything in Germany, because, you know, it's about German literature and film, and you wouldn't find such a lot of books like you find in Germany, with a very sound and good library systems, good universities. It was a very good stay.
Now, you came back to Egypt and you joined the faculty, or already you were part of the faculty, but then you took a higher post at the Faculty of Languages.
Yes, that's true, as a lecturer.
Yes. Now, would you tell me about the most interesting topics you like to teach?
Actually, I like to teach translation and terminology, lexicography. These are the most interesting fields I'd like to teach. But also I used to teach for some long years special aspects in literature, like the relationship between literature and media. These are all, at my time and still till now, relatively new areas in the scientific field. So just to see what is the relation between literature and media, language and media. How do each each of these components influence the other side.
Doctor, that's quite an important topic, the relationship between literature and media especially because actually the media has an important role in not only in formulating the society, but even it affected the Arab Spring. It was one of
Yes.
the boosters of it. So would you tell us more about the thesis or that topic?
Yes. Look, when you write literature, you use a special level of language. And when you use media, so you have to approach people in a way they understand. And sometimes people are talking about a very dangerous phenomenon, namely, namely is German.
It's namely, it's
namely,
fine, yeah.
Namely, the manipulation through media. Actually, people are always asking about the relationship between literature, language, and media. This is a triangle. And if you want to examine exactly this mutual relation, you have to look which level of language do you use when you write literature, and which level of language do you use when you talk to people through media, or you write in widespread media like print media and so on, like newspapers and so on. The point is that when you approach people, you have to use a special level and to approach them in a way they understand you. But the dangerous phenomena is that you don't, some people do this, you know, they manipulate people. This means you don't convey the message, but you say something through this message to people which is a hidden thing, to manipulate their way of thinking, to let them do what you want them to do, not what they want to do. And this is the most critical part in using media. You don't actually, you claim you are helping people to enlighten the way they think, to enlighten them personally, but actually what you do is the vice versa. You are actually leading people to the way you want them to go. On the other hand, literature, I mean here the high literature, doesn't mean this, and doesn't use this level of language and this level of communication. A writer has only one aim: to open eyes, to tell people things and to let them think about these things, to let people think and make their own decision. And this is the main difference by using or abusing the language.
Professor, you're also teaching another important subject, which is intercultural communications. And actually, this is very important right now, and especially for Egypt, as now the image of Egypt's certain elements, or some people who are trying to distort our image abroad. And I think that this subject or that topic can really help us if we study it and understand it in ameliorating our image abroad. So would you tell us more about that topic, and how can we use such a method in ameliorating our country's image abroad?
This is a very important question. Thank you for that. We are badly in need for such an intercultural communication. Look, it doesn't start telling people who we are, but then let them discover who we are. This is the main thing. Be attractive to people. Talk today to people in an international language. I mean, we talk to people in a language that has been used in the Middle Ages, for example. And we claim this to be our culture. This is not our culture. Our culture, the Egyptian culture, is one of the greatest, if not the greatest culture ever on earth. We are the first state with no example before us. We have developed this as folk and as a country. So we have to be proud of this. But pride is not enough. We have to make a positioning for ourselves in the world. Where do we stand today? The world of today doesn't look for glory, it looks for action. People have to see what do we do to contribute to the international civilization and culture. This is the main idea behind intercultural communication, to reposition one's place, to know where do I stay, where do other people stand, and how can I communicate with them in a language they understand. I mean by language here, Not only language like English and German and so on. No, this is important, but this is not enough. But the way of thinking. What do we address? What do we want to say, to tell people? The second thing is we have to realize that there are cultural differences. And these cultural differences are so big that sometimes communication fails totally because you don't understand that the other one on the other side thinks in a different way. We always think that people think like the way we do. Talk and understand, react, and hope the same things we have. But this is not true. People think, I mean, people in the Western world or Western-oriented world, they think in a totally different way, and they live also in their own time. I mean, every nation lives in its own time. And when we come out to talk to other people, we have to ask first ourselves, do we live in the same era? I don't think. We ask ourselves this question. So intercultural communication looks for the differences between cultures and how can we overcome these differences? How can we make bridges between cultures? Because we can't actually communicate directly. We need bridges. We need mediators. Who are these mediators? What are the qualifications of these mediators? These are some points in the intercultural communication studies. And we are lucky at the Faculty of Languages to say that we were successful in making or establishing a master degree in cooperation with the University of Wuppertal in Germany, exactly for this specialization, intercultural communication. And I believe we are the first faculty in the Middle East to make this master degree.
Doctor, you're an expert in many fields, including translation. Now, would you tell me more about, first, when did you start translating books and novels? And you do a variety of fields.
Yes.
So which is your favorite field and when did you start?
I started directly after I graduated because translation is a good profession for people who do a main job. So something beside the main job to get more experience and to make some money, you can make translations. Translation is a big challenge. It's not only that you know both languages, German and Arabic or English and Arabic or whatsoever, but it is you have to make a big research on the thesis or the theme or the subjects, topics you are working on. And this have been said, we have a problem in the terminology in all levels. Arabic language is a great language with a great history, and some scholars believe that Arabic language could be the first language ever spoken on earth. This is a theory. But this all doesn't mean that we have some problems with Arabic. It's a language that has been neglected for long centuries in terms of we didn't take care of our language to connect it with the culture and the scientific development. This has led to the poor situation that so long you don't develop, create, think, write in your own language, like all scientists, scholars, and so on do like to publish in English, for example. This is an international thing. But for us here in Egypt or in the Arab world, it's a problem. The result is that we don't have enough terminology. We didn't develop terminology to cope with the scientific development in the world. So I have started translation long years ago, first as translator and then conference interpreter, and used to travel a lot and to meet different people from different nations. It's a good possibility to meet people, to widen your horizon, to talk to people in different languages, and to know something new every day about different things. But it's very exhausting.
Now, doctor, so you do from Arabic to German and from German to Arabic, both languages, or you do
Yes,
one language?
generally yes, but to be professional, you have to translate only into your own language, mother tongue.
Yes. Now,
Yes.
actually, this is quite hard because it's not just the translation, it's giving it the spirit. Because sometimes I read some books and I feel that they are dry.
Yes.
They are written in the pure, let's say, classical Arabic form,
Yes.
and you feel that it's dry, as if you were watching like a classic, one of the classic Arabic
Yes.
TV series.
Yes.
And you cannot really communicate. So actually, also putting a spirit in it is a big issue.
Yes.
What do you think?
This is the cultural side or cultural aspect of translation. When you translate, you have to make the decision. Am I translating to convey a message or a complete culture? I used to convey a message and a culture. And in this case, you have to choose to convey this message and the culture in a language that is close to what people used to know, or to develop a new language that copes with the new content. And this is a challenge, and I use this challenge too. But you are right, because if you want to translate a book in a way that it comes really at the end on all levels, linguistic, hermeneutic, and so on good standard, so you have to spend a lot of time to understand, to make big research about things you read about, you don't know enough, and so on, and to develop a special style of writing that makes your language reflects both of these cultures, the culture you are translating from and the culture you are translating into.
Doctor, another important thing is that you're also translated dictionary.
Yes.
Yeah, now that's hard because that's thousands and thousands of words which you have to write from German to Arabic, and you must that's quite a hard thing. And did you have to study the Arabic language and master it to be able to get all the different synonyms and meanings?
Yes, you're right. I'm fond of Arabic language. I love this language because I'm also a writer, and every writer and poet knows that the language, especially a language like the Arabic language, is a great thing. So it's my pleasure always just to talk, meet with experts in Arabic as a language and literature and philology, my colleagues, for example, in the faculty, and also experts in the fields I translate into. Like we have had several projects. One of the most prominent dictionaries was translated into Arabic, and also about 5 or 6 dictionaries in cooperation with the Arab League and the German International Association for International Cooperation, and the Goethe Institute. That was a big project. It's called arabterm.org. It's a free website for everyone can just see it. It contains several dictionaries in specialized area like renewable energies, electronic technology, automobile technology, water technology, and so on. It took us years to collect terminology, to meet people, to talk to them, to make sure that the new terminology you are creating in the Arabic language adapts and corresponds with the Arabic nature, the nature of the Arabic language, and so on. So it's a very big, complicated job, but it is interesting. If I would like to say something is take care of your language. This means you're taking care of your people.
Now, how long did it take you to finish? Like, if you're working on a dictionary,
Yes.
how long would it take you to do that?
I tell you, the first dictionary I talked about, which is a big name in the field of dictionaries, it's general dictionary. It took us 8 years. And then I built up a team of young people. I taught them lexicology and terminology and so on. And we started translation. It took us more than 5 or 6 years working on these 5 dictionaries. It's not easy, I know, but it's a challenge, and we have to go through this challenge.
Wow, that's a lot of time. That's a mega project to spend
True.
5 to 8 years on one. Let's
Yes.
say at the end of the day, it's a book or
Yes.
a dictionary.
Yes.
Wow, that must have been quite. How did you feel after you finished it?
Of course, proud of what I do, and my colleagues also with me in this team. But the main thing is that you get a feeling you have done something valuable. It's something which stays, and this is important. You know, if we are all like travelers in this world, we come on one day, certain day, and then we leave someday. If we just leave something for the next generations, which is valuable enough that they make use of. So I don't know how we will experience this, but I'm sure we will be happy. Where do we stay at that time? But we will be happy.
Well, unfortunately, the time of this episode is out, so I have to thank you very much, Dr. Tariq Abdelbari. But we will be continuing learning more about your story of success in the next episode. So till we continue, thank you very much.
I thank you very much too.
That was Professor Tariq Abdelbari, chairman of the German department at the Faculty of Languages, Ain Shams University. We've learned why he chose to study German. We've learned about his master's degree, his PhD degree. Also, he talked to us about entering the field of translation. We talked to him about important issues like the intercultural communications, and we'll be learning more about his story of success in the next episode. So till then, it's goodbye.